Hi, hello, and welcome into my reselling channel, Flippin Hippos. I'm Star. Today's Tuesday, Tutorial Tuesday, where I typically teach you something, show you something, or give you a tutorial on something. If you have a request for Tutorial Tuesday, put it in the comments. I like to get them. I like to show you guys and teach you things that you're actually requesting in real time because it's what you really want to see. Today's going to be a little bit different. It's still going to be along the lines of tutorial and learning and teaching. I want to talk about why your listings aren't selling. If they're not selling, it's almost always not the market. It's something you're doing. So the first thing you need to make sure you're doing before we get into how to fix your listings, you need to make sure that you're consistent. Consistency is key, and that goes for any of the platforms that we sell on. The algorithms like consistency. It's better for you to list 5 items for 10 days than 50 items one day and skip 9 days. It is better to be consistent. You need to be listing every single day. If your schedule works in such a way that you can only do like a big batch every once a week or so, schedule them out or save them and push them out every day. You need to be consistent. So the number one reason why people aren't seeing the sales that they should be selling is because they're not consistently listing. And my personal opinion is it doesn't matter how many, whether you do 5 a day or 10 a day, it's just the consistency. Now, clearly, the more you list, the more items you're going to have for sale, the more you're going to sell. That's a volume game. If I have 100 pairs of American Eagle jeans listed and you have 1 pair, chances are I'm going to be selling a lot more than you are. It is a volume game. The more you list, the more you'll sell. But if you're just looking for consistent sales, just to get your listings moving, you're not looking to become a big volume seller, just list every day. And it doesn't matter how many, but be consistent. That said, today I want to focus on the small mistakes that are quietly, stealthily killing your sales. Number 1 is bad titles. We all know that. There's 10 of these, okay? There's 10 tips here. So number 1 is bad titles. If your title sucks, you're not being seen. There's no visibility. You need to use good keywords, and you need to keep up to date on keywords. Things change over time. Back in 2018, cottagecore, fairycore, grannycore, all of these aesthetics were not trending or popular, and they are now. So you do need to keep your finger on the pulse of what is popular and what is trending. And with today's technology, you can literally ask Google, ask ChatGPT, ask Grok on TikTok, Twitter. Teach me about aesthetics. Give me some good keywords. Just make sure you're using good keywords. Describe the item, but you want to get the aesthetics in there because that's what the younger crowd is looking for, the Gen Z kids. You need to make sure you have your brand, size, style. You don't want to use adjectives and you don't want to use punctuation. That is an absolute waste of space. Absolutely. Don't put any punctuation. You don't need it. Proper grammar does not matter in a title. Proper punctuation does not matter in the title. And you need that space. And adjectives, no. I honestly don't believe any buyer is going on eBay and searching for a cute dress. No, they're searching for sundress, cottagecore dress, peasant dress, empire waist. They're searching for things that describe the item, but not cute, pretty, things like that. You don't want to use adjectives. And you want to follow the suggested flow on eBay. It's usually what the item is. Nope, it's brand, what the item is, brand, item, what the item is, who it's for, and size. So Free People, floral boho maxi dress, women's size medium. Now, there has been some discussion lately in the community that If you run out of room, you can leave out men or women. Include it if you have the room, because that's part of like the suggested title. You want to put women's, men's, kids. But if you need the room for other keywords, you can leave that out because your category, your item descriptions are going to fill in the gender for you. The other thing is some people are putting their size more up front now, because if you look on the phone versus the computer when you're searching items on eBay, the only part of the title will show in the search. And so the example I just gave you, while that's the suggested flow, that's the best form, Free People, Floral, Boho, Maxi Dress Size Medium. If someone's looking for size medium Free People dresses, your size isn't going to show because it only shows part of the title. So maybe you would put Free People dress, size medium, Floral, Boho, Maxi. So just really keep what it is very short. Brand dress, brand blouse, brand jeans, and size, and then fill in all your keywords. And that way when they're searching on the phone, your size will show up front. Remember, if buyers can't find it, they can't buy it. Poor photos. In today's day and age, there's no excuse. With the way background removers work, and I actually recently did a video on taking professional photos very simply with no extra space, time, or money spent. So I'm going to have that pop up at the end. If you have not watched that video, I highly recommend it. Because in today's day and age with background removers and technology, there's no reason why your photos should not be absolutely stunning. You don't want dark lighting. Don't get wrinkled items, right? No cluttered backgrounds. You need to get enough photos, enough angles, the front, the back. Is there a logo? Is there a graphic? Is there extra buttons on the bottom of the men's shirt? All of these little details. You want bright, clean, consistent photos. And if you have flaws, you definitely want to call them out in there as well as the description. But it's so easy to get these professional photos these days. There's really no excuse. And if your stuff is wrinkled, you can steam it. Steaming's not my favorite thing to do, trust me, and I save it up. So if stuff is really wrinkled and needs a steam, I have like a little box. I make a little pile. When that gets full, I suck it up and I steam everything. So just remember to keep your photos bright and clean, right? You want to have the best photos because that's your storefront, really. That's the first impression buyers are seeing is your photos. That is your storefront. That's the first impression. You want people to be drawn in to look at more and possibly purchase your item. The third thing is weak descriptions. You need to have certain information in that description box. Measurements, condition details. You need disclaimers. You need to point out flaws. There's just like a whole bunch of information you really need in your description box. Now, you can do a template, whether you're listing straight on eBay or you're using List Perfectly. You can set up templates for different types of items you list. So you could have them set up for shirts, jeans, coffee mugs, plush, whatever it is. And then you're just filling it in each time. And that is definitely a time saver. It definitely helps with your processes and speeding up your productivity. But you definitely need size, measurements, condition, features. Some people copy and paste their title back down in there just to get it in there. There's just a lot of information you could put in the description. But now on the other side of that coin, don't write a novel. Okay, you need to be succinct. You need the facts. These are the facts. This is the stuff. Don't write a Stephen King length novel and bore them to death, because a lot of buyers are turned off if there's too much verbiage in your description, if you're too wordy. Clarity will convert a buyer more than anything else. Number 4 is pricing mistakes. You can price high. You guys know I do, right? I like to price high. But if you're going to price high, you need to be willing to run sales and turn on your offers or send offer, depending on what platform you're on. If you want to price high, that is great. That is fantastic. Maybe 10% of the time you'll get that asking price, maybe 20%. The rest of the time, you're going to be running sales and taking offers. But you price that high so you can do that, because let's say I price jeans at 30 and I take an offer or run a sale for 20. That's great. If I had listed those same jeans at 20, somebody's going to want them for 10. Unfortunately, selling online is a game, and there's a lot of psychology that goes in with how buyers look at items. They like sales, they like offers. They always want to get something for cheaper than you have it listed. So price high and then come down. Don't price too low either. I preach this all the time. In fact, this is my soapbox about racing to the bottom and pricing too low. Not only does it bring the whole market down and ruin it for everybody else, but there is a thing called perceived value. If you and I have the same exact Wrangler pearl snap button front, same size, same design, and a buyer's just scrolling through the searches and they see that mine is $25 and yours is $8, I guarantee you they're going to wonder what's wrong with yours. Why is this one priced at $8? There must be something wrong with it. It must have damage. It must be missing buttons. Something's going on. There is perceived value. And if you price your items too low, buyers will definitely avoid them and think there's something wrong with them. And then, of course, we should all be checking comps. We should be checking sold and active. Sold is important because that's what stuff is actually selling for. But active can reflect the current trends on items and what they're selling for. This is what they are selling for, what they have in the past. This is current. You need to compare the two and see what's going on, because things can go up and down. And always do offers. I know a lot of people don't like to. I already mentioned that you can price high with offers, but I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention again that you should have offers on. That's a whole other video about the psychology of selling, but buyers like to get a deal, and you need to be able to give them that deal for them to feel that urgency to purchase your item. And that brings us to number 5, not sending offers or engaging with buyers. Don't ignore your watchers or the likes that you get on Poshmark or the people on Etsy that are favoriting your items. All of these platforms have tools that you can use to send offers. Etsy, it's coupons you set up. If someone favorites an item, they get a discount. Poshmark is offers. Mercari is offers. eBay is offers. Don't ignore the people that are looking at your stuff. You need to give them that urgent need, the reason to pull the trigger and buy your item. If they're looking at it, they're interested. If they didn't buy it, they need a reason to buy it. And maybe sending them that offer gives them that reason. And all platforms have tools that enable you to do these offers or coupons. Almost all of them have the ability to set up sales. Just use each platform's tools that are there to give the incentive to buyers to buy stuff. Send offers regularly, run sales, do discounts, send coupons to people who've already bought from you so they can become returning buyers. The thing is, they just need a nudge. Interested buyers just need a nudge. The 6th thing you can fix is make sure your things are in the right category and that you have all your item specifics filled out. If you're not in the right category, you're not being seen, and that can happen. I mean, you're listing, you're clicking, you're going through. Sometimes things can end up in the wrong category, and whether that's the platform category or specifically on eBay, if you have your store categories set up, I always double check mine like once a month. And I find jeans in my jewelry, and I find jewelry in my comics. I mean, it happens. Just double check that you're putting stuff in the right category so it can be seen when buyers are looking for it. Make sure you have size, color, style. Fill out as many of the item specifics as you can, because that's going to help you come up in the searches when buyers are looking for specific things. If you're not putting your stuff in the right category, if you're not filling out item specifics, you're hiding your item. You're literally hiding your item from buyers, and you don't want to do that. Don't ignore the age of your inventory. Old listings get stale. You need to delist, relist your stale items. Refresh your photos or titles. Don't just end and put back in. So refresh things. The algorithm favors activity, and old listings do become stale, and the algorithm will push them down. Now, this was like an argument within the community, the reselling world, for a very long time. There are a lot of people that told you that delisting, relisting wasn't a thing and you didn't need to do it. And I always said you did. I always believed in it. I always did it. And I was always successful with it. And I did do a small experiment back in 2022 where I stopped for a while to see what would happen, and my sales tanked. But now it seems like the industry has come around and decided that delisting, relisting is good, and the items do actually get stale. After years of me being told I was wrong, turns out I was right. Poshmark listings get stale after 60 days. Mercari is 30, and eBay is 6 to 9 months. Those are the platforms I have stats on. If you just go off of eBay's, you can just do everybody all at once. But you do need to be refreshing them, for sure. On Etsy, I don't recommend delisting, relisting, only because it's 20 cents each listing. And you're just racking up you're racking up fees for your bottom line. But you can update them. You can refresh them. You can switch pictures around, switch words in your title. But old listings don't get seen. They really don't. And I'm glad that the industry standard is now, hey, listings really do get stale, and we do need to touch them once in a while and update them and maybe delist, relist. Because for a long time, that was not what was considered best practices, even though I've always taught it as best practice. So now everybody's in agreement. So let's just do it. Your stale stuff. But I do want to make this very clear. You listing new items is more important than fiddle farting around with the stale ones by about that much. So if you have enough time in your day, you should be doing both. If you're time constricted for whatever reasons, get the new stuff up first. But don't ignore the stale. Always prioritize listing the new items, but you need to spend some time on the stale ones. So if you can't do it every day, at least take some time once a week or so. Okay? Number 8, overcomplicating your listings can cause you to lose interested buyers. So, this is twofold. One, if you're overcomplicating your listing and you're spending too much time on it and you're trying to make everything just perfect, if you're taking too long to take the photos because you're a perfectionist, or you're writing too long the descriptions, you're spending too much time on each listing, and that's not productive. You need to streamline all of your processes. Don't overcomplicate. Get your good pictures. Get a decent description in there. We've already talked about descriptions needing to be succinct and not novels, right? Don't overcomplicate it. Don't spend too much time on things you don't need to be spending time on. Another place a lot of people spend too much time is comping. Don't spend too much time on stuff. Just get it done and speed up your processes. List more in less time. Then the other side of that coin, I said it's twofold. When your listing is too overcomplicated or too wordy, I've mentioned this before, it turns buyers off. It'll turn them away. You want listings that are good enough to get posted so that you have volume and consistency, right? You want volume, you want consistency, you want listings that are good, And you also want listings that interest buyers. So you don't want to bog down in all these overcomplicated details. Done is more profitable than perfect. And sometimes less is more when it comes to buyers. You want all the pertinent information in there, but they don't need to know the story of how you found it at the estate sale. The ninth thing that a lot of buyers, number 9, the ninth thing that a lot of sellers do is they don't think like a buyer. You have to think like a buyer when you're making listings. What would you want to see when you're taking the photos? Would you want to see the pocket? Would you want to see the tags? What would you want to see if you were shopping? What measurements would you want? What information and item specifics would you want to see? What would you want in the title? What questions would you ask? The key is to answer their questions before they ask them. So make it easy for the buyer to say yes, because you've already answered their questions without them having to reach out to you and send you a message. And 10, we're back to consistency. If you aren't consistent, I've already touched upon this, but it is very important. You will not make as many sales as someone who is consistent. Listing once a week versus daily, you want to list daily. The algorithm always favors active sellers. So you need a daily, consistent listing schedule. Consistency, consistency, consistency. I cannot say that enough. Consistency builds momentum. It pushes you up in the algorithms. The platform sees that you are active, and it will allow you to be seen in searches up higher. So pick one of these things we talked about today to go through and double check yourself and fix. You will see a difference. Your inventory is not the problem. It might be your presentation or how you're approaching listings or working. If you fix your listings, you're going to fix your sales. And if you have to only pick one thing out of this list to work on today, starting today, consistency. Because I think that's the most important. Everything we've talked about in this video is super important, but if you don't have consistency, it doesn't matter. If you have the best pictures in the whole world, the best titles and keywords and item description and item specifics, and everything is perfect, but you only list once a week, it doesn't matter. The imperfect person who's listing every day is going to do better than the perfect person who lists once a week. So if you have to pick one, consistency or that overcomplicating things, you need to stop that. Pick one of those to work on first, really. But yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns about anything you saw in this video or reselling in general, let me know in the comment section. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to help me feed hungry hippos. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.